Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to a new video. So in this video, we're going to look at this grinder, the Varia VS3. It's a very famous grinder, single dose grinder. Had a lot of hype in the last year. So let's do an unboxing for it in this video and let's check it out together. So the box looks very nice. It has like all the details on it in English, and it weighs around 3 kilograms, more or less 3.5 kilograms, something like that. And there's a lot of specifications. All the specifications are mentioned already on the box, like the power of it, 96 watt. The motor goes at 128 RPM. It has a weight of 3.1 kilograms approximately, so approximately 3 kilograms. It's a very similar grinder to the Starseeker Edge that we explained before. So let's see what is in the box. So we get the manual, and the box looks nice. It has all the things in a very tidy way. So let's see what is there in the box. So we got the adapter. We have a cup, it should be magnetic, and some Allen key and some screws and extra springs for the burrs. Okay, it's a nice thing. You give also extra screws in case you get any issues with the current screws in the grinder, so you get to have some replacement. And that's a cup. I think this is not a 58 cup, it's a smaller than 58. We'll check it out also. So this is the cup. It's smaller than 58. I think it might be a 51 or so. And we have a bellow and a brush to clean the grinder. This is a very standard brush that comes with every grinder. I believe also it comes with the roaster. Like a lot of Chinese products are having these things right now for good. Like they send it as a default accessories with things they sell. We also got this small spray bottle for RDT. Has the Varia written on it. I think it weighs, it can take up to 5 ml only. That's the grinder. Looks nice, looks very sleek. Small though. Yeah, it's like 3 kilograms. I'm excited to check what is inside the grinder. So we'll open the burrs together and we'll check it out. So this is how it looks. It looks very similar in the overall feel to the Starseeker Edge, except that the external look is different. So it has the same magnetic dial indicator here, and also the same magnetic cup. So we use the bellow, and that is the dosing cup. So there's a magnet here, and there is a metal plate, so it goes like that, which is a nice thing. So the grinder comes with the adapter, so let's check the sound of the grinder together. I'll plug it quickly. And later on we can check the burr. Plug it properly. Yeah. Not sure if that sound is like the birds are touching or what. No, that's how the grinder sounds. So it has like 10 marks between each number and the next one, which is a good thing. And each step is 10 microns, so you get to be very precise when you dial in your coffee. I think that's also something good. And it has this like anti-popcorning device. It's like a rubber piece that is already inside the grinder. very standard and very similar to the edge grinder. So that's a rubber piece, acts like an anti-popcorning device, and it has that like curvy top in order to allow the beans to slide down and go to the bird chamber. And some people, including me, I don't use the bellow a lot, so I just use it like that. And when it comes to blowing, when you use your hand like that, it is enough to blow the rest of the coffee inside the grinder. So I want to see how the birds look like, and then I will try to grind some beans in it and see the different ranges of grinding that it provides. Meanwhile, before opening the grinder, before checking the burrs, this grinder runs at 128 RPM as mentioned on the box. However, on some other websites, they mentioned that it runs at 170 RPM. So I believe it's not 170, it should be 130 or 140, something like that. That's what's written here on the box. 128 RPM load speed at a maximum of 20 kilograms cm torque. Okay. And the burr in the grinder is 48 millimeters. So there was like two different, I believe, two different generations of the grinder. The first generation had only 38 millimeters burr, and the second generation, they provided it with 7-core burr. This is a 48 millimeter, and this is the same burr size of the Starseeker Edge. So I believe we can also, in the next video, we can put them next to each other, the Varia versus the Starseeker Edge, and see if they have any differences, or they're just the external look and feel, but the same quality and the same grind is there. So let's open the grinder together and see how it is from inside. So for that, I'll just remove the dial indicator, and I'll unplug the grinder, of course. And we will need that Allen key that comes with the grinder in order to unscrew the burr nut. Okay. So this is how it looks from the inside. There's a nut here. So we'll need to take this nut out, but first we'll take the collar out. So the first thing you do, and also this can go as your routine when you clean the grinder, you first unscrew the collar. And under the collar there should be the bearing. Yeah, this is it. Okay. And then you need to take the external burr out, and under that burr you get to see the 3 springs. So that is the burr. That's how the burr looks like. This external burr. And we also get to unscrew that nut in order to access the internal or the cone itself. So that's how the burr looks like. It has 7 cores. And it is 48 millimeters. So to do that, we just need to, I think we need to put something here in order to stop it from moving. I'll just use a paintbrush like this. I'll just like use it as a brake, so I'll put it here inside the grinder, the grind chamber. So when I use the Allen key, I can have some force in order to unscrew it just like that. Very simple. So under this nut there is 2 washers. You need to take care not to lose them. And then there is the burr itself. So these are the 2 washers, a soft one and then followed by this one. Acts like a washer or a lock also. So put them down now, and that is how the burr looks like. So this is a very similar burr to the Starseeker Edge burr. Let me show you the differences between them. So this is the burr that comes with the Starseeker Edge grinder. It feels very similar, except the external look and feel. For this one, it has 4 like edges. This has only 3. And I believe they're just identical, except for the external look and feel of the burr carrier itself. So this, I don't care about this one, I just care about the cone itself. So this is how the cones look like. This is for the Varia and this is for the Starseeker Edge. So 7 cores versus 7 cores. And I think the geometry of the burr looks also very similar. If you can find any differences, you can just tell me. Sorry if the camera goes out of focus. I'm trying to keep my hand close to the lens. So they look very similar to each other. Manufacturing wise, both of them are made in China. I'm not sure of the design of the Varia, if it's also Chinese design or something else, but they have their own website, and that is how the burrs look like. Okay, so this is it when it comes to the comparison between both the burrs of the Starseeker and the Varia. Now let's see what else is there in the burr chamber. So under the burr, you will always get to check the shims. They usually provide one shim only with the grinder. However, you can add more shims if you want. So this is how the shim looks like. This very tiny ring is called the shim. So let's take it out. And show you. So this is how the shim looks like. So if you want to have more range, you can always add the more shims, or you can add a very tiny aluminum foil under the burr, under the cone, so it will raise it a little bit up, so this will give you more range for your grinds. So that's a tip that you can use with any or most of the cone or conical grinders. And then there is only a very small piece that acts as a Burlock. Let me take it out for you. A very tiny piece, and this is why the burrs get to lock against each other, so they work properly. And without that tiny piece, you can always suffer, and they don't provide like a replacement for it. You have to call them and you have to check the support in order to get it. It's a very small metal piece. This is how it looks. Very tiny metal piece that goes into that groove. If you look here inside the burr chamber, there is a small groove here. So that groove holds this tiny piece of metal against the sweeper, which is this one. So this goes here in that hole, like that, and they all lock against the groove here in the burr chamber. And that is how the burr chamber looks like. A very small burr chamber, enough for single dosing, of course. And there is a little bit of a slanting like groove here in order to allow the ground coffee to go down. Not sure if you can see it. Yeah, it's down here. And we have only 3 springs, and they give you extra springs in the box. I think they send like 3 or 4 more springs, right? Yeah, they included 4 replacement springs and also around 4 or 5 screws or 6 screws, so that you have some backup in case you lose one of them by mistake when you clean the grinder or so. So in order to put everything back, I will first put this one. This also has a small piece that goes as a burr lock. So the burr itself will have its hole here, and this hole goes into that metal part like that, so it locks in place, so it does not move. They move together while grinding. Okay, so these are very important small pieces you need to take care of when you open the grinder, in case you get one. And right now I try to align the groove inside to be matching with the groove or the hole inside the burr sweeper or the grind sweeper in order to put that small lock piece in place. And that is the first step when you put the grinder together. So I put it right now, so it will always move together. As you see, it will always move together. I put it here in place, and there it will not allow the sweeper to go against the burr or so. Now I'll put the shim, and as I mentioned, you can always add more shims if you want. I think you need to contact the company to send you more shims. However, this shim is the same shim that is there in my Starseeker Edge grinder. So I believe they are very standard designs for these internal components of those grinders. Right now I put the cone and I make sure it locks against the hole and the Burlock piece, and then I will put the two washers. The soft one is down, and then followed by the one that acts as a lock. It has a bit of a breakage here, and then finally you put the nut anti-clockwise. Then I use my tiny paintbrush and lock everything in place. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Then next is to put the external piece. It goes like that. That is the external burr. Then you put the bearing, and finally you put the collar back. Sometimes you can use this collar because it has a lot of threads inside, aluminum. All of that is made of aluminum, of course, the threads and the external body of the grinder. So you can add a little bit of a loop in case you feel that it has some friction while using it. Maybe you can always check if there is any remaining of grinds on the threads in order to make sure your grinder always goes smooth, as well as cleaning the external threads here on the grinder, of course. So right now I'm putting everything back in place. Like that. Yeah. So it always goes to 0. Now I put the other indicator and the anti-popcorning, and then the grinder is ready to use. So let's try it out and see what grind settings does it look like when I make espresso or when I make other like brew methods. So they also advise that you should not turn on the grinder for more than 1 minute, and then give it like a minute and a half or 90 seconds until you do the next grind. So this is something that you always need to take care of in order to make sure of the lifespan of the grinder does not get affected. Okay, so let me get to clean that place and then get some coffee beans and try to grind them and show you how the grinds look like. So let's put some coffee beans and see how the grinder will perform. So let's start with number 1. So 0 is the 0 point. Not sure if you can go beyond 1 or below 1, but let's see what is number 1 looks like. Because maybe for some people, if they have a lever machines or so, or they need to grind a bit finer than the normal coffee machines, then they might need to go down unless the number 1 gives fine enough coffee. So let's first check if the grinder will stay at number 1. So I'll not turn on the grinder, I'll put the beans, and then I'll see how it will perform against the beans when it is closed. It has a DC motor, 100 watt, so it should be good to go. So I'll put some beans like that, and then I'll turn on the grinder. Yeah, no scaling. Fast though. Nothing is inside. Yeah, very nice. That's how the grinds look like. Let's put them on the plate. Check them together. This is at number 1. Number 1 should be a very fine grind, but it's actually not very fine. So number 1 is not very fine. This is not going to help me make fine enough espresso, so I need to go beyond 1, below 1. So let's see what happens if I go below 1. So maybe something like 0.5. So I'll turn on the grinder, and then this is 0.5. So I don't want you to understand me wrong. This is fine, definitely. The first grind is definitely fine, but maybe it's not fine enough for you if you use a high pressure machine, or if you use a lever machine. Right now I'm using the ALM copy machine, so I know it always goes somewhere like kind of like a Turkish coffee grind, not exactly Turkish, but very fine like Turkish, in order to achieve the pressure you seek and to do long pre-infusion and blowing shots and all that. So let's see, how about the second grind? This is at 0.5, and from there we can know if we need to do any changes to the burr or no, because I told you a few minutes ago that we can definitely go for shimming the grinder. If we go and put a little bit of a shim on it, it will definitely give us more range. So there's nothing wrong with the Varia. It's tested and it's very well known and very sturdy grinder since it was launched. So we can always have something to help the situation. So it's finer now, definitely. It goes finer now at 0.5. And the good thing is that the burrs don't touch at 0, even because there is always some security that they put, or some safety they put for the grinders like these. So usually they don't allow the burrs to touch each other. So even if I go below that, it will not touch each other. If I go at 0 and grind, that is 0. That is the lowest settings I can go right now with the grinder when it is stock. So as a stock settings, this is the lowest settings I can achieve. Yeah, so this is the lowest settings I can achieve with the grinder when it's in its stock condition, without any mods or without any shimming or any extra work to do. This is the finest settings I can achieve with the grinder. That's an espresso grind. Yeah, that's fine enough for espresso for sure. Maybe the other two grinds can also work for espresso if you use a bigger basket, if you use a specific type of coffee that has a specific roast. Maybe a lighter roast will need finer grind, darker roast will need coarser grind, and so on. So this is the first settings we did. This is how it looks. This is a texture still. This is the second one. Finer. And then this is the last one at 0 settings. This is the finest we achieved so far. So the texture is less here. So that is when it comes to espresso grinds. They mentioned in the catalog, let's check it out together, but they mentioned that it has a range that goes up to 6 for espresso. I'm not sure how it goes up to 6, because since 1 is not fine enough for espresso, I believe 6 is not going to be fine at all for espresso. So they mentioned something here in the manual about that. Let me show you. Yeah, that's how they mentioned it in that page number 8. Yeah, they mentioned that espresso is 0 to 6, and 7 to 8 is mocha pot, 10 to 12 is pour over, and then 13 to 15 is French press, and finally 16 to 18 is cold brew. So we should be doing espresso from 0 to 6. We're now at 0 in order to get fine enough for espresso. So how about going to 6 and see how 6 looks like? So 6 is mostly, so one rotation has most 10 numbers. So 6, I think 6 is very coarse. Anyway, let's see how 6 looks like. I can do filter coffee with 6, not espresso. So this is how 6 looks like. Sweep that a bit. So I have some space for the next one. So this is how 6 looks like. Definitely this is coarse enough to do pour over with it. Yeah. See? This is like a mocha pot coffee. So I think the range of the grinder is not bad, but it needs a bit of work to add a shim or two so that it will give you more range, especially if you're someone who goes for this grinder to make your own single dosing espresso. This will be a good thing for you to add 1 or 2 extra shims. This is about the grind quality if we do espresso. So let's see when we go coarse what will happen. Let me prepare the plate. So let's do a little bit of a coarse setting and see how coarse will it go for filter coffee, for example. Let's do maybe at 0. 0 is like 1 full rotation, okay? So I went from 0 up to 0, so that's 100 marks or 100 steps. Every step should be only 10 microns, so we're talking about 1,000 microns. So this is a good filter. And I noticed something, guys, about it, that I don't need to spray the beans before grinding. It's not giving any kind of mess at all. That's a good thing about it. And it's a plus when it comes to the Varia. The grinds look very consistent. And the way they look very consistent. This is tea-like grind, amazing grind settings. Looks very nice. I can tell that it doesn't have any fines, or at least it doesn't have lots of fines, because definitely there are fines. It looks very consistent in my hand and as I see it. So I think a filter coffee with the Varia will be good to try, and the rest is for the burrs and how the coffee will taste like when you grind it with these burrs. So I think this is it for my video for today. So the next video I'll put the grinder next to the Star Seeker Edge, and I'll see how they look against each other, how they perform, and also the grind range between both of them. So in case I go for 1 or below to get espresso with the Varia, how about when I do espresso with the Star Seeker, do I need to also do the same, or do I need to go, or do I have a higher range for espresso? We'll do all that together. We'll check both the grinders together, and until then I'll see you. Thank you so much for watching, and wait for my next video.